that. But back to my point is, you could be paying, 5 times as much for Bitcoin, and then in say 6 months' time, it could be obviously a lot less. With what I think the market's going to do. So
Right.
I was wondering, what's your thoughts on that? Because it is such a wild, wild time of the moment in the globe.
Right. And you're correct. There is a lot of expectation that it will drop further, and actually, we're looking to probably get in at that point. We will be using dollar cost averaging. We won't be using all of our funds at the same time to go buy it just because it's that 30,000. At the same time, long term, looking out to the future, Bitcoin probably won't stay in the 30s or even lower. It'll probably balance itself back out because still within the crypto space, it's the face of crypto. Most institutions that are already in the space or considering the space, they're looking at Bitcoin, which means a lot of money will start flowing and continue to flow into Bitcoin first before trickling down even into the DeFi side. And we want to have a holding of that because it's easy to liquidate. And we are looking at Ethereum and a few others too, like Solana. But the problem with Ethereum specifically is just the gas fees. Liquidation for it can be difficult depending on what's going on. It just may not make as much sense. It's a little easier to liquidate Bitcoin. It's more recognizable, and it does have the potential to actually go up, just like it can go down. So it's not going to be all eggs in one basket kind of thing, but it will be. We're going to start accumulating those assets because we expect it to go up over the long run.
Can I also
Yeah,
answer
no.
that just from like a technical perspective? So what is also going on, and I hope I'm not sharing too much information, but so the plan is, from Mr. Nettles' description, is that over time, the project will be able to grow, have the right capital to onboard the right securities agencies and the right securities officers that would allow him to perform managed fund services and allow him to use other investments that are a little bit more stable market compared to the crypto market. But in the meantime, there has to be another form of stability short of the Binance Smart Chain network that
Right.
would allow for just a floor of some sort. And through his recommendations, as well as other team members,
Correct.
this is the best format that we can facilitate this and automate it if we need to, just so we're prepared for certain regulatory actions. If certain things come down from the higher ups here in the U.S., we might have to put all of that on contract, and we can do that, at
Right.
least until we get to the point to where we could have the right legal stuff in place.
Correct. And you're not oversharing. It's just I didn't want to get into it with this AMA because it's kind of in the weeds. But again, because the question came up, it does make sense to kind of let you all know kind of what that is on the background because there are a lot of regulations with insurance field specifically, but also like Chris said with securities. And we're trying to meet those requirements before it's required. And that's where this project is really trying to do better. We don't want to just wait for the regulation to come down. We want to already be prepared. So when it comes down, we're just filling out the right paperwork and sending it in. It's not a jumping through hoops kind of thing.
Yeah, and just to put it into some terms that people are really familiar with in the space, I mean, essentially what they're talking about is like if there's insurance regulations, we could shift the concept into a contract-based only one, more like a DAO is what you would see. And having it as a DAO would allow us to avoid pretty much every single one of the securities issues and the issues around the insurance side. And I've already looked into the laws around this. If you look into specific states' laws, there's a couple that already have DAO-friendly structures, so it is absolutely a viable path forward. But this is all just like us planning out for every possible situation, just making sure that we're able to stay agile and take the best path forward. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions, concerns, anything? I know Henry's out there fighting Craig to make sure CraigBot keeps recording. Appreciate you, Henry.
All right. I think we can wrap it up. And if anyone has additional questions, again, we're always in Discord, always in Telegram, and we're going to answer any questions that come through because we want people to understand what the project is trying to do. We want you to understand that we're being transparent, and we want to share the information because the more people know about this project, the better you're going to be able to use it down the line to actually keep their investment safe.
Absolutely. And, right before we wrap up, I did just see a question come in from Space Cat in the chat. So, with all the chat about partnering between projects, are there plans to partner with a certain project? So, I'll just talk from my perspective as like a, finance accounting kind of dude. For with the services that, this project provides, it's not so much as clear of a partnership with just about anyone and everyone. Now, when the time comes for project insurance, absolutely, there's a very direct correlation for a partnership there. But as of right now, it would be probably more on like a low-key basis. We're partnering with them to feel them out, to make sure that we're comfortable with them and that we could kind of provide that service and they're happy for us to provide that service. So it would more
Right.
just be like trying to build out those customers more so than direct partnerships, at least at first. But over time, they would turn into partnerships. I mean, ultimately, a big part of it is just like what other projects can help us add value to what we're already trying to do. Because everything we want to do has to be a value add. It has to make this more lucrative. It has to make it a better situation. So it just
And
depends
to
on what comes
be
up, really.
and to even jump onto that just like a hair closer, just to give people something to think about. An easy, quick fit and something that we are in the works and talking about and trying to make happen with multiple projects is offering this service at the launchpad level, just for the hodler themselves, not necessarily the project, but having that
Right.
service provided through the launchpad is obviously a no-brainer, and it's what you should do. It's what I would want to do as a consumer.
Right. Just some kind of protection for your initial investment. There's no,
Absolutely
yeah.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to tag on from the business side of it, when we put our coin risk rating publication out, some projects are not going to be happy up front because they're going to think that we're trying to slight their project. And the reality is, anytime a project reaches out to us, we'll let them know what issues we saw or why we rated it the way we rated it. It's not a secret per se. If a project wants to know why we rated them a specific way on our risk classifications, we'll let them know so they can improve their project. Um, it's not 100% going to be clear to people who are not within the community upfront because they won't have read the white paper, they won't have read the supplement, or understand the mission of this project. So that there's going to be a little bit of a learning period for a lot of projects. And then when they realize that we are really trying to help their holders, we should see actually a lot of growth from that as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if down the road you'll start seeing the Shield Coin stamp of approval, like kind of as a widget on people's websites, similar to where you would, see like a Coin Market Cap widget or a audit widget for people to click and link to. Very possible you'll
Correct.
start seeing our logo pop up on projects and a link to maybe our evaluation of what the risks are associated with the project.
Correct.
I see we got a
Wait,
hand up
another.
from Drew. Let me bring you on up, buddy. Welcome up, Drew.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Awesome. Hey guys, a lot of familiar faces here, right? I have a quick question though, something I'm not clear on. If
Hmm.
like let's say that you guys are Vito Safe Moon as an example, and I go and I buy $500 of it now, does it cover there, or does it have to be like a new project or a project that's of a certain length of like
Uh,
time?
No, so length of time will actually factor into the risk analysis, but it won't be an overwhelming factor because, again, there are a lot of good projects coming out, and we don't want to stifle growth in the space. We're just trying to help protect people. We will be, with the initial list, we will be trying to cover as many of the older projects too. We'll do the same analysis, give them the same, like whatever score they're going to make based on what they've actually done. Actually, the longer a project has been out, the harder we'll wait how long it's going to be before their utilities are actually launched. And I don't mean utilities in the sense of dashboards or things that are just quick codes on their website, the actual flagship utility for that project. A lot of projects made a lot of promises. A lot of them have good teams behind them, but they sometimes take on more than they can handle up front, and they overpromise and underdeliver. And we are, again, that's a part of the risk, or how successful is this project going to likely be, and this how much risk we're willing to take on with that project. But we do, SafeMoon, Evergrow, they'll all be listed on the first publication. We'll do the research, we'll pull them all, because we want it to be as fair as possible, so that people that are holding those tokens can have some coverage if they're even scammed beyond not just rug pulls, but again, spoofing scams on websites. Or there was a recent one for EGC. A gentleman got scammed out about 2 billion EGC. We want to be able to protect people from those type of attacks as well. So we want those projects to be covered in, as early as possible. And there's enough data on them for us to do our analysis.
Perfect. Thank you very much for answering that question.
No worries.
So without getting into too much open discussion, now I'm curious, like on a project like SafeMoon that had a fantastic audit, had all of their contracts taken care of, audited, doing well, technically still hasn't done anything like real negative as far as versus their economy or contract, but their new contracts are not audited. How will that
Right.
play into the analysis?
Again, this is going to be a dynamic document, so it's not going to be static. So just because a project is rated low initially, while coverage will remain, again, if someone buys it when we have a publication that says it's a low risk project, your coverage remains in effect until the 30 days ends, even if that project is then moved to medium risk or high risk. That being said, we are constantly going to be re-reviewing projects, especially as we're watching their communities, hearing updates on what they're actually doing. We can't let this remain a static document. It has to be alive. It has to be constantly changing and getting updated. Otherwise, we run the risk of not informing our community that something has become a risk.
All right, and one last question, just on the technicality of like the system itself. I'm sorry, just so I
No
make
worries.
sure that I'm fully versed on it. So the 30-day period that'll roll over based on like the 250 basis, and you're purchasing extended coverage during that 30-day period. That extended coverage that won't change its clock any. Like your 30 days is still your 30 days, even though you made a purchase within that 30 days. Is that correct?
No, that is not. So basically what ends up happening is every transaction will create another 30-day block. And we can, again, look on the blockchain. I can say you made a transaction on day one for $200 and you basically had 2,000 coverage. You then, the next day, made another $200. You added $2,000 coverage. That means you're, on day 29 and day 30, you'll have two different coverages. So you'll have $2,000 coverage on, or $4,000 on 29, and then on 30, you only have $2,000 coverage, because they create different coverages each time.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I have
So
we
as
have
long,
the blockchain
so if
available
they,
to us. We can track
yeah,
everything.
and if they're overlapping, then like that's fine, and you're just double covered or triple covered, whatever you buy. But if they're
Exactly.
not overlapping, it just cuts it down. That makes complete sense. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, just to that point as well, for people, if you do receive a payout, and this is something I wrote in the insurance supplement, and this is true for any insurance, if a claim is actually paid to you, the contract is actually done. It's over if it's paid out in total. If it's partially paid out, it reduces your coverage until the end of that term. And the reason being is it decentivizes people from trying to scam the project, first and foremost, with virtually the same scam, if they will. But it also, again, it's a risk sharing agreement. If you said I want to have $2,000 in coverage and we pay out $1,000, you only have $1,000 coverage left on that specific transaction contract until that 30-day expires. If you re-up it, you can re-up it, but that initial one is now reduced until the end of its 30 days. And that protects our holders as well, because again, our project can't just continuously pay out and pay out and pay out without transactions to replenish that amount of money.
Sorry, I have one last question regarding the payout. What does the claim process looks like? Like, as an example, let's say I got the insurance, and now I get rug pulled, right, within the
Right.
4 days. I bought $500 worth of, shitcoin, and I got rug pulled, and I'm gonna get 50% of it back, right?
Right.
How does the process look?
So on our webpage, right below the white paper and the insurance supplement, there's a claim form. It's just a Google Doc. It'll send us the information and we'll plug that into our spreadsheet. We'll run the numbers. We'll look at your actual wallet and the wallet that scammed you just to confirm that it's a true wallet. Your wallet is covered with the proper time. The scam isn't something we already recognize or whatever the case may be. We'll look at all these different data points and then we'll just make an actual transaction in BUSD from the vault to your wallet once we confirm the claim. And the reason we're using BSD is we don't want any taxes on the claim payouts. We want you to have all of your money put into your wallet. No tax.
All right, that's actually much simpler than most insurance companies. Awesome.
I know I work with a lot of them, and I don't agree with how they do all their claims.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm not gonna have someone interview me for an hour about something random. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
No. The only time we'll actually do any follow-ups is if we find something suspicious, either a wallet that reached out to us making a claim has previously done or is previously linked to other claims that we have in our database. We may ask to make sure that things are kosher. We expect that there will be some scams. That's just the nature of insurance. But our goal is to stop as much of it as possible because we don't want to incentivize that type of behavior.
Right. So that kind of brings me to this next one last question. Let's say there's a new project that they're launching. They approach you guys and they say, "Hey, we want to have your certificate on our website. Take a look at our project." Is that something that is you guys are going to be doing?
Yeah, we will be doing that, but again, they won't be able to pay for the rating. They'll just be paying for us to move them up the chain to actually do the evaluation. And any money that comes from that will go to either the vault or the team wallet in regular proportions, and it basically goes back to the holders as their protection. So any profits go right back into the project in some way or another. But we will be doing that. Again, projects are not going to be happy with us sometimes because if we do that evaluation and they don't like the numbers, we won't hold it back. We will be still publishing it. So that is a part of creating that trust. Our community needs to know that bad or good, the information is going to get out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're running up on the end of the hour. We got about 10 minutes left, 12 minutes. Any other questions, comments? All right. I'm not seeing anything. Go ahead.
There is one more question in the chat. I'm trying to read it. I have a small list of questions ready to go, even though I'm sure I missed it. Was there any questions asked and answers given regarding the funds come from to pay claims immediately from launch? So he's asking, like, if somebody made a claim, I guess, like the very moment we launched, how does
Right.
their claim get covered?
So a part of the pre-sale is actually going to create a portion of the pre-sale will actually go into funding the vault and the team wallet upfront. So there will be money in it at launch. And the point of that is to make sure that we have funds available if claims need to be paid.
And just to answer to everyone as well, from a technical perspective on the contract itself, every swap that is conducted on the contract does produce, it's a nominal amount. It's only 0.5% of volume, but it is directly generated in BNB to the vault address. So upon the very single purchase, there is at least coverage. I don't know from an economic standpoint how you equate that out on how quickly that builds versus what people are purchasing and covering, but theoretically, it would cover an immediate claim from somebody as soon as volumes are just transactions are just taking place.
Correct.
And that's without a threshold hit. So you aren't waiting for a BUSD distribution. That will happen in live time immediately on every swap. So that BNB builds without any type of time mechanic or threshold.
Okay. And also the wallets will be publicly available. They'll be published, so anyone can go in and check the wallet and see what's actually in it. And we're doing that so people know that there is actual funds available for claims. Transparency is key.
Just another follow-up question as well. Mr. Who is asking, are you covering individuals who get scammed by phishing scams? For example, he says, send me some coin to get airdropped more coin, or connecting to malicious DApps. So I believe the connecting to malicious DApps, that kind of covers the spoofing example that was used in the white paper. But
Correct.
on the side of like, somebody says, give me coins and I'll give you more coins, or give me your seed phrase or something like that.
Right.
That's where it gets a lot more difficult for us to like
There.
easily insure, right?
Yeah, that's true. And actually, again, in the insurance supplement, I actually talk about ways people can protect themselves from actually getting scammed. We encourage people to read that. Some of those, again, I learned from lessons learned. Some of them I learned from hearing other people's scams. But we basically provide that so don't hand out your passphrase. Most of those things, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. We can't, yeah.
Yeah.
We're right. The reason we don't want to ensure that at least up front is because it still encourages bad behavior we don't want investors to do risky things unnecessarily. Go out there, make your money. Go out there, put your money in good projects. But if someone's offering you something for nothing, it's usually a scam. And people have to be aware of that. And there's going to be that risk in the space no matter how much you try to change it. It's just the nature of DeFi.
Yeah, so just like as a short and concise answer, like the spoofing one where it's a malicious DApp, that's kind of covered. But in regards to
Right.
things like, if you send me your tokens, I'll send you double, or if you give your seed phrase, those are situations that aren't as easy for us to verify simply through tracking on blockchain either. So it wouldn't be
Correct.
covered at least at first. Another part of it too is, those ones are actually kind of the easiest ones to fake, like scams of. So the verification is just another level of it.
Correct. We can't verify it's a real scam or that you're not the scammer. We don't have that.
Correct.
Yeah, this is why I just put my hand up, because I love the whole basis of what this project's doing, but yeah, you start getting into a slippery slope. For me, if you start trying to cover people who've I see insurance as I would my house. I couldn't set a fire in the middle of my kitchen and then try and claim house insurance because my house is burned down. Do you know what I mean? There has to be
I
some
do,
sort
I
of
do.
caveat.
But just to
Yeah.
give you an example
Yeah.
as someone who has been through something similar to that. So we had this crazy situation at my house where a pipe burst in between like a shower connection joint on the upstairs side. Caused this huge deal. Essentially, the entire roof of a couple rooms was like all water damage and there was water leaking through. Now, the insurance company, they came out to the house and they did their own investigation. They looked around and they made sure that we didn't do this on purpose. They tried to use as much context as they could. We would be doing a similar thing where
Correct.
someone's going to tell us that something happens, a claim is made, and then we need to go and follow up with the claimant and ensure that we can do everything to get comfort over it so we know that this was truly what they're saying it was.
Correct. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
no,
create a moral hazard. Right.
well, yeah, but to me, that you're then in a slippery territory of, we know there's scammers in this space. Obviously, Pink Sale, you've mentioned before. It's basically, as you said, it's the puppy farm of Scour, as far as I'm concerned. They churn out anything, any token releases. But you get the scammers. I'm in other projects, and you're constantly getting messaged in Telegram from the support asking for your seed phrase and stuff like that. And there has to be some sort of ownership for people and their own wallet. And it was just to obviously come in on that question, because but it is a horrible space at the moment. There is a lot of people trying to exploit and, rug pull and all this kind of stuff. But also, it's up for the owner to take some sort of responsibility for research and to protect his own assets. And
Right.
yeah, it's, you guys obviously coming in saying, look, we're going to be offering XYZ protection, but you know, you can't protect stupidity. And you know, it's you know, if I'm driving my car and I decide to, you know, drink a bottle of vodka as I'm doing it, obviously it's illegal, but then my insurance is void because it's my personal choice to do that. And yeah, that's what just kind of just bouncing, you know, obviously my position on it.
Yeah. And again, we're not going to make the space perfect, but we're going to make it safer for people to invest. We're trying to bring in institutional money, and the only way people are going to put their retirement money into crypto or their money they want to really grow is if the space has some level of protection, some level of stability. And that's what we're trying to bring to the space. We're trying to basically make it a haven for people to grow their money, change the way finance works writ large. Because stocks, I don't know. I'm very much against stocks. I think, yeah, I'll keep my peace on that for now. But again, I think this space has the potential, and we're trying to help realize that potential.
But yeah, I don't believe there's any more questions in the chat, so I guess we'll give people just a moment. But outside of that, I guess we could start wrapping up. You'll get some updates from us probably within the next couple hours. We hope to have the Pink Sale link out today so people can see exactly what's going on. I think we're going to, you know, push out all those updates via Discord today, so you guys will see them in the announcements chat, and there's plenty of time for people to catch up before, you know, anything substantive happens.
Right.
But yeah,
Let's
thank
go.
you guys. Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's wrap this up then. Hey, thank you all for joining. We look forward to the next AMA. We'll let you know what date that's going to be on. This community is growing really fast. Hey, this is going to be a great project.
Absolutely. I just like the innovation. Anytime you see change in the space, a fresh idea, you guys know me. Fresh ideas, nice change of pace. Always trying to help people out. Fits in line with everything I know and love.
Hey, 100% agree. All right, so we can wrap it up then. All right, y'all have a good day, and we will be again available on Telegram and Discord anytime y'all need us.
Thank you, everybody.